Choosing the wrong franchise can cost you thousands of dollars and years of frustration. And I'm going to show you the key factors that will save you from a costly mistake. And if you do not get this right, you could end up trapped in a failing business. I've been in franchising for almost 15 years, and I run a multi-million-dollar franchise business, plus have guided dozens of entrepreneurs in choosing a great franchise. So I'm going to give you the exact steps to find the perfect franchise match. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in finding the right franchise, even if you're a total beginner. So unfortunately, there is no universal perfect franchise. There is no brand that anyone can point to that is guaranteed to be successful. If that was the case, private equity would come and they would own everything, right? And the worst thing that you can do is follow the hype of the hot brands. Most of the ones that you see on the top 100 franchise list are complete BS. Most of those franchises pay to be listed on those. So instead, you need to reverse engineer the process. And you need to start this by defining your buy box. Then you want to wait until a ball comes straight down the center and you can hit it out of the park. And if not, you're going to be striking out chasing the wrong opportunities. So there are 4 things that you need to do to define your buy box. Number 1 is your goals, right? So being a business owner allows you to design the life of your dreams. So you start with a blank canvas and you can be creative and think big. And then once you know where you're going, then you can figure out the best path to get there. So what I would do is block off an hour, go grab a notepad, a pen, go to a quiet space, turn off the phone, and write down the answers to these questions. Number 1, what is the driving force behind wanting to buy a franchise? Everyone starts a business for a different reason. Some people just want to match their W-2 income, while others want to build an empire. I've worked with parents who want to start just like a simple business that they can run with their kids on their weekends so they can teach them about entrepreneurship. And then I've got other parents near retirement who wish to start a business with their adult kids. Now, both parents want to make money, but their real goal is spending quality time and making memories with their family, right? That's the driving force. It's not necessarily to make as most money as possible. The first thing is, why do you want to do it? What's that driving force? Number 2 I look at is, what does success look like in 5 years? So pretend you're in Back to the Future and you just hopped out of the DeLorean. You're observing your future self. So what does your business look like? How many locations do you operate? What is the revenue? How big is your team? How much money are you making? What is your net worth? What does your day in the life look like? Did you buy a new house or a car? What specific car? Was it a red 911 Turbo, right? Do you golf and travel regularly? Do you just get back from a 30-day trip to Europe? What is the next trip you plan on going? People tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year and way underestimate what they can accomplish in 3 to 5 years. So dream big here. I highly recommend reading this book, Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. This kind of walks you through that exercise in a lot more detail. I've done it. I did it 3 years ago, and it was amazing that the things that I wrote 3 years from that day in 2020, a lot of the big ones came true by 2023. If you can paint this picture and you can define the life you want to go, it is amazing what can happen. The third thing I'm going to ask yourself in this notebook is, why now? Why do you want to start a business right now? Or do you want to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? There will always be excuses and reasons to not take action. And life has a way of slipping through our fingers before we know it. Years have passed. And have you ever talked to an elderly person and they said, wow, I really wish I did fewer things in my life, right? Probably not. And by the way, if you don't want to go through this entire process alone, I run a franchise consulting company that helps people transition from corporate America to entrepreneurship through franchising. Our service is 100% free to you. I run live group calls almost every week, plus provide you a ton of resources to help through the process. You can apply by going to brianbeers.com/coaching, or we can click the link below. The second thing I want to look at is your skills. So the best part about franchising is it allows these ordinary people without specific industry knowledge or experience to enter almost any business. I cannot fix cars, yet I own over 30 automotive repair franchises. I don't have the patience to paint, yet I am building the best painting company in Philadelphia. And I think it's a terrible idea to follow your passion. You know what makes me passionate? Making money and building businesses that I'm proud of. I don't care what the widget is, right? I don't care about cars or paint or anything else. What I care about is building team, driving sales, and building a scalable business. That is what is fun to me, and that is what I want to follow. You can identify your skills into 4 categories. Now, these categories will help kind of navigate the direction you want to go in. Number 1 is sales. Like, do you believe that every no gets you closer to a yes? How good are you at understanding a customer's pain point, communicating your solution, overcoming objections? Or will facing rejection on a daily basis cause you to have a panic attack? So if you're good at sales, leverage your ability and get into a high-ticket sales-driven model, selling project-based jobs for $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 or more. And something like painting, roofing, fencing, insulation, windows, doors could be a good fit. Otherwise, if you're gonna have that panic attack, you might wanna get into more of a low ticket, really marketing driven model that doesn't rely as much on that sales interaction. The number 2 is relationships. So do you have a mayor of the town personality? You like meeting new people, building relationships, networking, participating in community events? Would you enjoy taking a prospect out for a round of golf or for lunch? And do you like working a pipeline? Or does all that sound terrible, right? If you're good at building relationships, you probably do well in a B2B business model, right? That has this longer sales cycle, but you build it through relationships. And if that's not you, if you don't like to do that, then stick to something that's sales driven or something that's more marketing driven with a quicker cycle and less relationship based. The third thing I look at is leadership. So do you enjoy developing people and leading a team? If you're skilled at leadership and you thrive in managing large teams, then you might excel in a business that requires a high number of employees. So something like fast food or staffing or senior care, where team coordination and leadership are just crucial for your success. And if not, right, if you don't want to deal with a lot of employees and just that management, then you probably want to prioritize a model that requires fewer employees. And finally, number 4 is operations. So do you like handling complex operations? If you're good at managing this kind of thing, you'd be good in a business with a lot of moving parts, right? Something like auto repair or restoration or anything to do with insurance. There's a lot of checkboxes and process there. But if you struggle with operations and you prefer simplicity, look for a business with fewer moving parts, right? It can be a basic retail where you're buying and selling, or a very straightforward service business. The third thing in our buy box is your budget, right? A franchise costs millions of dollars, doesn't it? Yes and no. People think of big brands such as McDonald's and Taco Bell, sports franchises, car dealerships, and celebrities like Shaq. But in reality, half of all franchises cost less than $350,000, and some of them start as low as $50,000. And more expensive is not always better. There are some lower cost concepts, let's say $150,000 or so, that generate more sales at better margins than brands that cost over $500,000 to launch. And now you don't have to pay cash for all these things if you don't want to. The SBA is very friendly to franchises. Normally they fund 70 to 80% of the startup costs, but I had a friend email me the other day saying he got up to 90% of the startup costs from his local bank. You want to get a good handle on your cash investment, like how much money you're going to put in to launch this thing, and then what level of debt you're comfortable taking on. A lot of people choose to buy 3 to 5 units to start so they can control a large area, but then they open them in phases, and that totally works. But a word of caution here is to not overextend yourself, right? Don't take the maximum amount of debt just because you can. Everyone is different in their budgets, in their situation, in their comfort levels, and their cash reserves, and all this stuff. And my only advice here is to make sure that you have plenty of cash on hand. Sometimes a business takes longer to get off the ground, and you're going to need that cash to keep it going. And the worst thing you can do is run out of money because you overextended yourself and took on too much debt. If you have to be conservative, move slow, you can always get bigger. It's a balancing act, and you need to find what's comfortable for you. And then finally, number 4 in our buy box here is location. So what makes sense and is available in your market. Hot markets like Nashville and Austin and Charlotte, they have lots of population growth. Many of the concepts sell out fast. And honestly, brands are probably going to perform a little bit differently there than in small towns in middle America or more established old money towns in the Northeast. When you are speaking to other franchisees to validate the brand and do your due diligence, you'll really want to focus on talking to other people who operate in cities similar to yours, if that is possible. The other big consideration here is tied to budget, which is that a physical location of the franchise. And there are really three options. You have retail. Now, retail is like brick and mortar where customers come to you. It could be food, fitness, salons, cell phone repairs, auto repair, whatever. And these concepts will have high startup costs, including build out, lease deposits, furniture, fixtures, equipment, inventory, signage, and more. Most are gonna cost at least $300,000. They could go up to $600,000 per location. Some of them could be $2 million or more, depending on what's all involved. And it takes like 6 to 12 months to find, renovate, and open just a single location. And if you sign a 5-unit development agreement, it could take you like 4 to 5 years to get them all open. That's the biggest challenge in these retail concepts. Now, on the flip side, like retail is a very localized business. People don't go out of their way for a sandwich or coffee or haircut or tires or like anything else. And as a franchisee, you can have locations like 15 minutes apart from each other that service different customers and don't compete at all. The second type of location is a mobile service business. This is where you go and visit the customer's home or business. This could be in home healthcare, painting, some sort of residential cleaning, commercial cleaning, power washing, plumbing, junk removal, dumpster rentals. There's tons and tons of options in this space. This is probably one of the most popular spaces in franchising because of a couple of these things I'm going to talk about. It's affordable to get started. Asset-light concepts like painting or senior care, some sort of cleaning, run like $100,000 to $200,000 per territory. A concept of more equipment like power washing, drain cleaning, dumpsters, etc., can be like that $200,000 to $350,000 range. Territories are defined using specific criteria for that brand. It could be just total population, the number of households with a certain amount of income, or the number of seniors. It all depends on the type of concept. Now, a mobile business can operate out of a warehouse, like a flex space, or even out of your home if it doesn't require much equipment. And you can launch these things quickly, potentially 60 to 90 days after you sign the franchise agreement. The biggest bottleneck in these is normally buying the truck, getting it outfitted, wrap, or potentially finding a warehouse if it's required. Now, the biggest pro here is the ability to scale while keeping your fixed costs low. A single warehouse or office space could have the ability to service a very large territory. And you just buy more trucks and hire more crews, and you can expand your radius. Now, the challenge is you are managing a fragmented workforce. Mobile service employees have a lot of independence. So you need good systems to verify they are maintaining company standards and following the procedures. And the third and final type of location is a home-based franchise. And here I'm talking about 100% home-based B2B models. That's business to business. There are low-cost franchises out there that you can get started for like $50,000 to $100,000 in direct mail, where you sell direct mail to local businesses. There's cost reduction, where you help other business owners reduce operational costs. There's medical billing, where you take over the medical billing for doctors. Most of these have near zero overhead since you operate out of your home with your existing laptop, a cell phone. Maybe you need a car, but you probably already have one. And these are really good options for experienced B2B sales reps who want to start with a low-risk business and just like hit the ground running. Because you can launch within 30 to 45 days of signing. With the biggest bottleneck, it's just like getting through training. And the biggest pro here, low cost, low risk, quick to start, flexible schedules. And some of the top performers are making $300,000, $500,000, maybe $1 million a year or more. And the biggest con is many of these remain one-person businesses. And so these are harder to scale with large teams, which honestly could be a pro if you don't want to deal with employees. So from here, you develop a checklist. Remember, we have these 4 attributes that we're looking at: your goals, your skills, your budget, your location. This creates your buy box. And then from here, within that, you have 3 things: requirements, nice to have, and deal killers. So requirements are the ones that you can't live without. I would recommend a maximum of 5 attributes. If you get too many, you're never gonna find a business. So it could be require a sales-driven business, or a business that I could own all of Philadelphia, or a business that is under $100,000, or a business that I can do with my kids on the weekend that has a lot of flexibility. That would be a requirement that you would figure out that is different. Your requirement is different than mine. The second thing I look at is nice to have, where, yeah, this would be nice, but whatever. It's okay if they don't have it. Recurring revenue might be one of them, right? Where, hey, it's really nice if there's this recurring revenue aspect to it, but if not, whatever, no big deal. And finally, there's deal killers. These are the ones that you will not tolerate. Similar requirement. I wouldn't have too many on here because finding a business might be challenging if you have this super long list. For me, I don't want a business that's 24/7, right? I have young kids at home. I want to be home with them, and I don't want to have to get calls in the middle of the night when there's a problem and then I have to go and deal with it. But for other people at different stages of their life, they may have no problem with that if it meets all their other criteria and they can make a lot of money with it and they can scale it up. You need to figure out what's right for you. And now, after you have this checklist, it's much easier to filter through opportunities that meet your criteria. And so then once you find a few brands that are within that buy box, you can start the process of due diligence. Now, I don't want to get into due diligence on this video because I have a whole other video on the due diligence process and all these great questions that you should ask as part of the process. I just want to leave you with this, that you know you found the right franchise when you were super excited about it. You can't stop thinking about it, right? You picture yourself operating it, you see all these ways to grow it, you're laying awake at night just thinking about it and you're really excited. And if you don't feel that way, and if you feel like you're forcing this thing in, then it's not the right feeling. Like, you should feel it in your gut that this is right and you're super excited about it. So instead, don't go through this process alone. Go together with my team. You will work one-on-one with one of my advisors. I have a whole digital course that you can go through with a lot more content. We give you checklists. We give you referrals to attorneys and CPAs and financial advisors. We get franchisors in front of you, and you can decide which ones you like, and we make the whole process much, much smoother, easier, and quicker, and it doesn't cost you a single penny. So if you want to learn more, go to brianmears.com/coaching or click the link below, and I hope to see you on the live calls where you can ask me anything, and I want to help you build a fortune through franchising. Cheers.